live. Hello, guys. How's it going? Did you have an interesting day? Because I had a very interesting evening yesterday. Ha! I watched my very first ever Amoram stream. That's what I did. Chat. I watched it. Was so that I can know what video to make, right? Because if I'm following the story and I noticed that a lot of people were gravely concerned about the situation involving Amoranth, I decided, you know what? I should get my first-hand knowledge. I need to get a lived experience by watching an Amoram stream. And I was there with the other 59,000 people. 60,000 people watching. I can't even fathom that number. How much is the world's biggest football stadium? Like, someone please tell me. Like, Google it fast and tell me in the chat. What is the capacity of the world's biggest football stadium? You know, like, there are Joe Biden rallies with less than 60,000 people there. I mean, it was a little bit intimidating. A lot of masculine energy going there. A lot of masculine energy from the chat. So the biggest football station in the world is 120,000 people. That's, like, I want you to imagine, okay? Just close your eyes. We're imagining, right? Like FIFA, World Cup, all of the celebrities promoting. And then you have, like, the stadium. And in the middle of the stadium, in the middle of the football field, there is Amoranth. And half of that stadium is filled. All right, like, that is what we're talking about, like, a lot of human emotion going there. Was very shocking to see. Like, most streamers don't get that much. I don't think even Gargura gets 120,000, 60,000. Like, Gargura usually gets, like, what, 30, 40,000? So, that's a lot, chat. That's a lot. Was a lot of drought in the chat as well. It was like the Sahara Desert, a lot of thirst. People in the chat were thirsty as they were watching it. And was experiencing my very first ever Amoram stream. Beautiful. Ask me questions. Oh, I see Tactical Droid in the chat. I missed Tactical Droid. I don't remember last time he was here. Okay, so how many subscribers do I have? 88. That's a classroom. It's bigger than a classroom. Still not a football field. I need to get more subscribers before I get the football field. Steven Crowder gets 100,000. Yeah, but, like, Steven Crowder has content. I'm not saying this in a mean way. Alright? Like, I'm not saying this as an insult or anything like that. But as I was watching the stream, the vibe of the day was dead air. Like, just dead air. She was saying a couple of things, like she was saying a couple of sentences every now and then. But other than that, she was petting her dog, she was hugging her dog, she was spitting on the chair, she was drinking water. Very important to stay hydrated if you're a streamer. But other than that, there was dead air. I'm not kidding, okay? Like, I'm not being mean. I'm not being a hater. I'm not like, because I was wanting to learn from that, you know? Look, as well as I'm there, might as well get something from the experience. Maybe I can improve my own streaming. Like, let me see what she does, and maybe I can copy it, and I can bring something to this channel. I can improve the channel. But I don't know what she has that I don't, because it was dead air. Unironically, and I asked someone else, you know, I went to It's a Gundam in his DMs, because I know that It's a Gundam used to, you know, that's in a past life of his, he was watching Twitch. And he understands the culture. He understands the phenomena that's happening there. And I'm like, dude, is this, you know, because of the drama? Like, do you think, like, it affected her so hard that she's not talking now? No. Apparently, that's normal. And I'm like, what does she have then? What does she have that I don't? And I think it's the husband. You know, maybe, look, I understand gay marriage is legal now. If she does divorce the husband, I will marry him. I will seduce that motherfucker because, like, I understand he is the one planning her streams and maybe he can do that for me. Maybe he can help me be successful. Maybe he can manage my social media. I will allow him. I will share my account with him. But I want the fame. I want the popularity, and I'm just trying to figure out how to get it. And then she had the sniffle, right? Like she. Oh, by the way, like it was amazing. So apparently, she made up with her husband, right? Like, despite the fact that the internet was in an uproar, there were many people upset over it, but she made up with her husband, right? And the way I could describe the feeling in the chat, like how would I describe how those 60,000 people reacted when they found out that she and her husband made friends again? It's kind of like when you're in high school and you have a colleague that's your friend, but he has a crush. He's got a crush on the most popular girl in school, and you're like, dude, she's out of your league. She's got a boyfriend, right? But he tells you, no. Last night I spoke with her. Her boyfriend is such an asshole. Like, her boyfriend is mean to her. He's abusive, right? And you'll tell him, it's like, but they're going to make up tomorrow. You do not. No. It's final. Like, she's going to break up, and I'm going to be the rebound. Like, I will have the strong, independent, powerful shoulder for her to lean on. And it never happens. You know, the next day, her and the abusive boyfriend are back together. They love each other very much. And you can see your friend suffering. Like, you can see the human emotion, which is pain, surfacing. And yeah, like Pog might be an expression of pain if you think about it. Like, it's like, but it's a scream of agony. So that's by experience from. But I would also like to show you two more things, right? From watching yesterday's stream, which unfortunately, again, I went there to try to improve my my streaming abilities, but I don't know I got if I managed to have a lot. However, this is a screenshot which I took, and I will share it with you. This is from yesterday, right? This is what I was thinking when I was looking at it. So she just debunked Jordan Peterson. Like, she doesn't need to clean up her room because she is fine the way it is. 60,000 people watching. So maybe from now on, I need to messy up my room. I need to messy up my room in order to improve the quality that my streams have. Now, I just want to show you why I was interested in this, right? Because I did got my answer. So this happened before the stream, and this is the main reason why I watched it, right? Because I was curious, where does this story end? Like, what is the ending of this particular adventure, which was proposed by a lady by the name of Sasha Grey. I don't know who Sasha Grey is. I assume it's another Twitch streamer. But she had a very interesting take, which got 44.8 thousand likes, 1,804 retweets. So a lot of people were supporting this endeavor. All streamers that know where Amouranth lives need to join forces and do a wellness check. I don't trust Popo in this matter, but all your energy into communicating and make this happen today. So I want you to imagine for a second, chat. Okay, like, put yourself into the shoes of Amouranth. All right, you're now Amouranth, and you keep getting knocks on the door, like 20 people with their little selfie sticks just popping up at your door, going like, "Ami, are you okay? Are you okay, Ami? Ami, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Ami?" You know, like, that to me, like, please, okay, don't do this to me ever. All right, I don't care who fucking suggests it. I don't want. All right, like, my opinion is, don't do it to other people as well. Like, even if it comes from a place of well-being and good intentions, all right, just do not do it. Just don't. Like, please. Do not do. Because as I was watching Gamarov's stream, because I was wondering, like, okay, did that went anywhere? And she actually said that it was a little bit annoying to deal with the number of people coming to her door, going like, Amy, are you okay? You okay? You okay, Amy? Right. So, Jesus fucking Christ. I definitely do not know who Sasha is, alright? Like, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be trolling. Okay, this is not the Lack of Entertainment channel. I'm legitimately unaware of who Sasha is. In fact, I don't know who many of the people on Twitch are. Like, if you're asking me who are Twitch streamers, I don't fucking know. Popular people, I assume. But, like, other than that, I genuinely and legitimately do not know many Twitch streamers. She's an adult video actress. Ah, Naruhodo. Okay, right. Well, see, there we go. Like, her profession and my hobbies do not intersect that much. Now, if she was a hentai creator, maybe I would have heard of her. But if it's an adult video actress, no fucking clue. Probably, yes. Virgin V. Correct, yes. I do not... I'm sorry that I do not want to pop my cherry by watching adult videos. By the way, I gotta say, you know, like, you're looking at that American entertainment. I'm going to say something controversial now. Hopefully no one will clip me because Jesus fucking Christ. I'm looking at American comics. Boring as fuck. They don't sell. I'm looking at American TV shows. Boring as fuck. They don't sell. You're looking at American video games. Boring as fuck. They don't sell. Right? You notice the trend? Like, all American entertainment is now boring. And I gotta say, the quality in adult videos is also plummeting. Not only do they seem so fake and vulgar, but I legitimately do not understand how anyone which spent time with a woman in real life can watch a modern-made American adult movie and actually get something out of that. Like, even when it comes to that, the Japanese hentai is far superior. Right? Like some ushikushi succubus and stuff like that is better. That is better than whatever is like considered to be the modern American. No wonder Twitch is so famous. Like, if that's the competition, if Twitch is competing with the adult websites which are so disgusting, and it's not disgusting, it's fake. You know, like anything from the sound effects, like there's no foreplay. That she's like, no, it's horrible. I can't show you on YouTube, alright? Like, this is something that I'm pretty sure if you're a man, you've experienced in your own private time. It's porn. What the devil were you expecting? I don't know, man. Well, the Japanese seem to know how to... That is like, what, you know what? There's another, like, while we're on the conversation. There is, like, something that I don't get about Japanese hentai, though. Like, that is one thing that I don't get about the Japanese hentai. I want you to think about the main character in a hentai, right? Like, beautiful girl, you know, big boobies, pretty face, long hair, pretty color, like everything, you know, she is like the most ushikushi tactical droid. Are you imagining the ushikushi girl? Like, let's imagine the ushikushi girl with her, right? And then, who do they match her with? The most ugly, the most disgusting, the most vile, the most repugnant male character that humanity is capable to draw on a piece of paper. Like, I don't understand that. Like, that is something that I never get, you know? Like, why, though? Like, why? You're completely ruining the whole vibe. Like, why you do that? I don't get it. No, like, I understand the tentacles. Like, that's not very difficult to grasp. That's within my realm of understanding. No, what I don't understand is, like, when they match the beautiful lady with the most ugly, drawn, imaginable person in the fucking universe. The self-insert for the audience. I don't want to self-insert. Alright? Like, I don't need that. Like, I can self-insert myself without seeing my representation. Equal representation. Holy shit. Elf plus hill giant. Yeah, something like that. You know, like I don't understand. Degradation. Flat is injustice, man. It's a crime that nature uses upon innocent women. So you feel better about your... How? No, I don't. No. And then there's another thing that I don't get about hentai. Holy shit, you know, like, now that we're trapped into this conversation. Although, I kind of get it in a way. I know the history of it, but it still doesn't make fucking sense. So you have, like, a Japanese drawing that is made to stimulate the senses. And it's very beautiful, it's nice to behold, right? But they censor the fucking. Like, literally the part that you're supposed to be interested in. Like, literally why you're there, right? Like, without that part, you wouldn't be there. But like, literally the action, that gets censored. Whether it's pixelated or like the dumbest censoring ever, which is like something that's like blowing my mind. I think Koreans do it. Just like a tiny black bar. Like, that's how they censor it, right? So they have like the how should I put it so that YouTube understands within the justice service? You had the fat anaconda, right? And it just has like a tiny little black bar over the top. And I'm like, how are you censoring? Like, how is that even remotely censorship? It's like, no. Censoring makes it more hot. Oh my fucking god, Simon, do you pay people to do that for you? Like, do you give them comic books and you're asking them, hey, can you censor? Do you know that you can actually censor something that, like, this is actually very funny. You can censor things that don't require censorship and you make them look nasty, right? Like, if you, for example, they did this, recently. There is an app, I think it's made by Sony or Eidos, one of these Japanese companies that does business in the West and went a little bit woke, and they decided to have an app on your phone where you can see anime, right? So manga, anime. But the thing is, like, they decided to censor things, and they were censoring things that don't need to be censored. Like, for example, there was a girl in a bathing suit, but like, she was covered up, like no protruding nipples or anything. And they censored the bathing suit, making it look as if she's naked. So I'm thinking, like, holy shit, if my mother walks in the room while I'm reading that, I might get in trouble. The most important type of censoring, technical, it's probably for legal reasons. No, I know the legal reasons. It's just so stupid. They should remove them. They censored these and asked for €1 per sep. Did they censor the knees as well? I mean, I know that they went over the top with their censorship. Like, they went way and beyond the Call of Duty, to the point where even things that shouldn't have been censored became censored. I mean, let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Eidos manga censorship. Let's see if... you know what? Maybe I shouldn't just Google random things, because I might get into trouble. Yeah, I'm not going to Google this anymore, because some of the search results that I found are muy problematica for this platform. I mean, look, we're on YouTube, we're not on Twitch, right? Okay. Let's talk about the main topic at hand. The reason why you guys are here for. I'm going to talk about studies. Because all of you guys are scientists and you're interested in the study. I love the fact that you need a study to tell you the reality of the situation. Like, I needed... Did you notice this, right? I think it's ingrained in American culture right now. If you guys remember, the Supreme Court of the United States, they nominated the first ever black woman. And when she was asked, what is a woman? What she said was, I'm not a biologist. Now, that is a wrong response because it would imply that being a woman has anything to do with biology. But the essence of what she was saying was that I need to ask an expert. Because that's the only way you can understand knowledge, right? Like you don't use your brain to think anymore. You need to ask an expert. So everything in life can only be known by asking an expert. And if you have the wrong opinion, if you don't agree with the expert, you should be cancelled. All right, so let us glimpse at the study. All right, now we got the experts here, and I got the chat here. Perfect. Young men aren't having sex. Wow, I'm really glad that an expert had to tell me this because I wouldn't have known. Nearly a third of men under 30 have not had sex, and a higher percentage do not have as much sex as they like. Not exactly surprising, but this kind of statistic is a sign of much deeper problem. I want to point out that it's not about sex. It's really about companionship. Can I lower myself so I'm at eye level with you guys? Huh? Do you mind? Whee. Companionship is very important. Like, I remember when I was in high school, and even after that, the most depressing thing is that you're going out in the park and you see so many couples holding hands and they're going to museums and they're watching movies and you want a little bit of that, you know? And unfortunately, most men, a third of men, won't get any of that until they're 30. Which is kind of upsetting because there's so much energy and so much things you want to do when you're a teenager. And many men don't get to do that anymore until they're 30. So, the problem is that it causes a lot of depression, it causes anxiety, and in the case of some men, they might even become violent. And there is no, as far as I know, there are no people working to try and solve and address this issue, right? Because the issue is that, well, it's a little bit more complicated actually, but like one of the ways you could solve it is if someone was to educate men how to be more, how to have more confidence in themselves, basically. Because that's one of the main reasons. Like, a lot of men don't have confidence in themselves before they reach the age of 30. And without confidence, you're not very attractive. But there's also the problem with social media, right? So the left keeps saying, it's like, oh, well, lewdness in comic books or video games is problematic because it creates unrealistic expectations that men have towards women. It's like, motherfucker, you think that's a problem? Like, you think like the average man, which is at the age of 20, he is surrounded by girls, but he has such unrealistic expectation that he's not interested in dating any one of them. Like, every single guy in a high school is living his own isekai. There's like a harem of girls that wanna date him, but he's like, nah, I look at comic books and none of you girls are like I see in comic books. None of you are like here. Right? So that's absolutely fucking ridiculous. But the reverse, however, is true. Because if you're a woman and you go on social media, like, you're going to see all of the other men there. And you're not going to try and, you know, like you're going to have like your standards set based on the fake reality of social media rather than the people around you. I said this many times, like, one of the ways you can upset people, if you really want to, you can ask a woman that's single, you can ask her, like, well, what do you want in a man? And usually they will give you something that's like within the 0.5% of the male population, right? So, they want him to be like 6 foot, they want him to be single, they want him to be very smart, university educated, they want him to be charismatic, intelligent, $100,000 a year. Like, when you add those up, it's like somewhere within like the 0.5% of the male population. It's very unrealistic, right? It's like me saying, well, what do you want in a woman? Well, you know, I want her to be a Hollywood actress. I want her to be incredibly beautiful and stunning. I want her to be young. I mean, like, at one point, you're going to be like, okay, so you want like the 0.1% of the female population. Like, what are you talking about? But anyway, right? What you can tell to these women, it's like, well, is your father any of those? And if the answer is no, you're like, well, why can't you be a little bit more humble like your mother? Like, your mother wasn't that picky. Like, I'm not saying, like, you shouldn't be picky, but, like, come on. Why can't you be a little bit more humble? Anyway, you know, that's just a conversation that you can use to upset people. I don't think it's a good argument. What if she had an abusive father? Well, I don't know. What if she had an abusive mother? Like, that's such a stupid question. This is another thing, right? Like, what if she had an abusive father? A lot of American models right now, like people you should look up to, seem to be only from fiction. Like, not real people, right? So it's just fiction characters, like Iron Man, Thor. You know, like all of these people that are from the Marvel universe. Like, these are the role models that young boy need to follow. And you even have, like, newspapers like the New York Times and politicians saying, oh, we need more role model for kids. We need more... Yeah, but, like, they're not human beings. Like, every single human being. Like, I don't know a parent which at least one day in their fucking life weren't abusive. Right? Like, it really depends. Most human beings have flaws, and they also have virtues. Like, humanity... Like, you're not going to find someone that's 100% evil or 100% virtuous. Anyway, right. Am I glowing? Holy shit. Our society criminalizes sex and sweeps it under the rug. The consequences are straightforward. There is more violence. Since platforms like Craigslist were banned for advertising sex, serious violent crimes against women, not just sex workers, have increased. I don't think, like, the men that aren't having sex would be happier if they were able to get a hooker. Again, I think the problem is the lack of companionship, which also causes depression, and it causes men to have low self-esteem and feel inferior. I don't think that you could solve this away if every 18-year-old would have a visit from a prostitute paid by the state. Am I really glowing that much? Is this an actual problem? Is this something which you guys cannot get over because I am glowing, huh? Well, I see. You're going to have to live with it. So, I think it's the companionship. Oh, there we go. We got a bot. Let me whack it. Whack the bot, chat. Whack the bot. Whack it. The fuck do the bots find me? Government mandated girlfriend. You know, I laughed about this because it seems incredibly funny, right? Because they keep saying, well, healthcare is a human right. Housing is a human right. Food is a human right. And I'm thinking, why isn't sex a human right? I mean, every single, reproduction is an important part of biology. So why wouldn't that be a human right? And I was like thinking like, you know, I got him, like the snark, ha ha ha. But apparently someone told me that in a Nordic country in Europe, I forgot if it's Norway, Finland, or Sweden, one of these three, they actually do have that, right? So the government gathers taxes from people, and if you happen to be old, or if you happen to be under a condition, like for example, you're in a wheelchair, or, you know, you lost your arms, or anything like that, right? Like if you're under that situation and a doctor comes and like manages to find out that your psychological health can improve if you were to have access to a lady of the night, then the government provides you one, right? So just like the government hires doctors in order to provide you a health service, so too in this situation, the government hires women of low moral fiber in order to provide the citizens that are in need, yeah, like sex taxes, literally. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, dude, you completely ruined my point. Like, there are people who would actually consider that sex is a human right. Which, again, like, when they say that, they want to say that the government should provide it. That's what they say, right? So they say that you should pay taxes so other people can fuck. Which is like... Trey Danielle, thank you. The problem is even marriage today is a difficult dance. Because society told women that men need to be something that they're not. Like be a nurturer, etc. So men can't win for losing. I think the reason with marriage being a problem is not because of what society tells people and whatnot. It's because the absence of religion, right? Like before, It was a very important promise you made in front of God that you're going to love each other until death does you apart. But now, because people don't believe in God, it's like, oh well, it's like a contract, like a business opportunity. You enter a contract. I guess like the difference is that people 50 years ago, they would view marriage as a finality, right? Like the end of a journey. Like you'd start dating, you seduce someone, you get together, right? So the end of the journey is marriage. But the modern view of marriage is like it's the cherry on top, right? Like you already are in a relationship, you are already living together, so like you get married like the little cherry on top of the cake. That's the difference between how marriage used to be and how it's now. It is a contract with the state, but the interesting thing about marriage as a contract is that if I get into a business contract with you, and somehow we have the terms that we will remain in business until one of us passes away. Now, if I decide to unilaterally break the contract, I have to pay you damages because I did the decision, right? But in marriage, you do make the vow that you're going to be there until, for better or for worse, until one of you passes away. But if you break the contract, not only do you not have to pay damages, so if you have like a no-fault divorce, right? We're not talking about abuse or anything. No-fault divorce. Now, the person earning less is going to get half of the shit, which doesn't make any sense. So like you can break the contract. Not only do you not have to pay for breaking it, but on top of that, you can even make money. Like that. Imagine if that happened in business, right? So if you can start a company and you don't bring in as many resources as the other people, but then you decide, you know what, I'm going to back up, and you end up with more money than before, even though like you unilaterally went out. I mean, holy shit. So it is what it is. You're waiting for the AI wife. I don't think the AI wife can replace women. Like, this is another comment that I hear from feminists. It's like, oh, robots are going to be able to replace women. I don't think that's the case, right? Because no matter how you do the robot, it's not going to replace an actual human being. And relationships aren't just about sex. They're about companionship. And you can't replace that. But anyway, right. Let's see what else. The Me Too movement accomplished so much, and we have to take the next step. Normalize having healthy, positive, consensual sex. Decriminalizing sex work. Funding sex education. Creating outreach programs that help young people develop sexual habits. I mean, this already exists in Germany. This already exists in other European countries where sex work is legalized, and the percentage of men that don't have sex is still quite high. A lot of men, like, they do not consider, because again, like, men want companionship, all right? Like, a lot of men do not consider that going to a brothel is going to be a life improvement or is going to fix their problem, because they don't have companionship. That's the main reason. It's not that they don't have the capacity of having sex. And today's society, like, sex is already very normalized. I mean, OnlyFans, Twitch, dating apps, like dude, like, anywhere you go, I think it's more normalized than in most other times of human history. Sure, there have been places in the past, like in Greece, ancient Greece, and some places in the Roman Empire where it was even more normalized than now. Japan, for example, in ancient Japan, the culture was even more permissive. But like that doesn't mean like you're going to fix the problem. And I don't understand like what the Me Too movement has to do with this. So the Me Too movement, if you look at it, firstly, it almost universally affected left-wing people. Like, please tell me a single right-wing conservative person that got Me Too'd. And secondly, it also negatively affected women. Because at the peak of Me Too, the accusation was enough to destroy a person's career. Right? Because it was like, believe all women, no investigation, no nothing, why would they lie, blah, blah, blah. So what this did is like, I remember articles coming up in the New York Times and the Washington Post talking about how men refuse to now be seen single with women, right? And in the same environment with a woman, they refuse to coach women, and this was a big problem. But at the same time, I understand it. Like, if you create a culture where the accusation is enough to destroy a person's credibility, so like you can't defend yourself, well, then people are going to take their own measures of precautions. And they're going to be, well, if I'm never seen with a woman, I can't be accused. So they did the Mike Pence rule, which wasn't very progressive, but it is what it is. V is sofa king. What should I replace the sofa with? Because I'm actually thinking about it. Like, I genuinely want to replace that sofa with something else, but I don't know what. Was going to give a whole spiel about hentai, but Susan hates my vocabulary. But if you want to know why tentacle hentai is a thing, it's based on 1814 woodpint called The Dream of the Fisherman Wife. No, that's not why hentai is a thing, okay? That is indeed the first depiction of tentacles, but it's not why it's a thing. The reason it's a thing, and I think I talked about this before, Japan was a secluded nation where people couldn't get in or out. And after the Americans brought gunboat diplomacy onto the shores of Japan, they also brought Christians there, Christian missionaries. And the Christian missionaries were horrified of the fact that in Japan, women would walk bare chest on the street. Women would bathe themselves in places where they were visible to other people, in front of children and whatnot. And because of that, it shocked the Christian missionaries, which started shaming the Japanese people. Now, if you know anything about Japanese culture, is that they don't really appreciate being shamed. In fact, they're very vulnerable to it. So eventually, the Japanese the Japanese emperor passed a legislation completely banning all of these obscene acts that the Europeans considered, right? So no women weren't allowed to walk bare-chested, no more bathing in public. Many books and literature that were of sexual natures were banned, including paintings and pictures and other type of art that was highlighting sexual activities. And apparently this remained ingrained in Japanese culture today. Like, even today, this is why when you have hentai, the important bits are censored. It's because of that thing remaining within their culture. However, people found a workaround, right? So if you have to censor the genital organs, well, in that case, if you have a tentacle monster, well, that's not a penis. That's just part of the monster. So you don't have to censor it. And that's why you have tentacles in Japan. They also banned weed? I did not know that. No, we're not talking about this now. We're talking about Japan. Japan also sees a peach or certain fruit as emblematic of woman's purity, sexuality, femininity, innocence. Isn't that like with peach emojis on social media? Anyway. So this lady suggests that we should be moving towards a right to sex. People should have to be able to have sex when they feel they want to. And what we need to develop services that meet people's needs without attaching the baggage of shame of criminalization. I don't think that's a good idea, and I'll tell you why. There is, something given for free has no value, as they say. And there is that wonderful thing when you finally manage to seduce a woman and have sex for the first time. Right? Like, if people were... You get to notice this, especially if you're a man, but women as well. Like, if you have a lot of partners in a short amount of time, you're going to find that it's very difficult, next to impossible, to fall in love anymore. I don't know why that is. Like, I assume there might be some hormonal imbalance which is happening, but... sex is not just pleasurable, but it also creates a deep relationship with the other person. Like, you feel more attached to the person that you're sharing a bed with. And if you were to just have it whenever you wanted, if you are just able to just, have as many partners as you want and different partners and whatnot, it would be very difficult to fall in love. Like, it would be next to impossible after that to have a meaningful relationship. And I think women would be the ones that would dislike this the most, because a lot of the way that women control men in their marriage is to withdraw sex, right? So if the man doesn't do what they want, like, they can't... So usually in a couple, right, like when a man wants something, right, he demands something, he starts shouting, he starts being more intimidating, right, and he can impose his will on other people. A woman can't do that, right? Because biology. But it's also another way that she can do it is by being passive aggressive, by saying, look, if you don't do what I want, then you're going to sleep on the couch, right? But imagine a society where that doesn't happen anymore, and the man can just go and get his deed, right? Like, you're depowering women, pretty much. And I guarantee to you, like, it's women that are not going to vote for this. Like, it's women that are going to be like, no, this is not something that we want. Like, I wouldn't want my teenage boy to be able to get money and go to a brothel. It's a deeper way of connecting with the other, yes. And if you are to be able to just do it frivolously with every person that you want whenever you want, it wouldn't be a deeper way of connecting. It would just be like, I don't know, getting a massage or something. Yes, I did say this, empowering women, yes. This is about Brave New World. I don't know about Brave New World. It's more like something that you can have in Germany. I mean, in Germany that they legalized it, and there's other European countries where they legalized it. I wouldn't say society is for the better or the worse, but it still doesn't fix the problem. Like, even in Germany, most men don't have sex before they reach 30. Sorry, even in Germany, a big chunk of the male population doesn't have sex before they reach 30. Because it's not about that. It's about companionship, as I mentioned. We need to bring these discussions to the spotlight. Yeah, but like, these people rarely partake into the discussions. They impose like what they want to do, and they censor everyone else that disagrees. Normalizing healthy positive sex will have too many downstream benefits to list. We need to move past our history of shame, is to bring sex into the light. And by the way, I just want to point out, like, I'm in favor of legalizing sex. I don't, like, first of all, even with the fact that it's illegal in most countries, any person that wants to can still have it. Like, I don't think there is a much difficulty in finding a woman that has low moral fiber. But secondly, you would end up a lot of organized crime, and you would be able, like, if, for example, in Germany, where you have brothels and stuff, like, they provide a certain cleanliness, and they also make sure that the women who work there are not infected with any STDs and such. So the women can also seek help from the police if they get into trouble. I'm more in favor of that, alright? Like, I genuinely don't think that it should be criminalized. I don't see the benefits, and not to mention, you can tax it. Instead of raising taxes, you can now tax the ladies of the night. Do guys actually sleep on the couch because their wife tells them? No. But it is an expression, it's a metaphor, right? The idea is that you're not going to get any coochie that night. That's what it means. But no, like, men do not sleep on the couch because their wives tells them to. Anyway, apparently people are like, they could try being decent and thus more attractive human beings instead of entitled creeps. So you have, like, these people, like, women that are womansplaining, I guess. Because she was never a man. Like, she doesn't understand how dating is for men. So she's just going to talk about some talking points that she read on the internet. It's like, men are creeps. No, that's not true. In fact, there was a Reddit post of a lady which wanted to help her brother out to find a date. Because she didn't understand why he can't find a date. She was a little bit bewildered because, according to her, she was a nice guy and she had a stable income and a good education. So she took his phone and created an account for dating, and she was shocked to realize that very few women were even interested in having a conversation. Like, they wouldn't even say hello, right? So it's not about being a creep. It's just the fact that because of dating apps, like, if you're a teenager and you're still living with your parents because of the housing crisis, you don't own a car, right? You're not very athletic, right? So you're an average guy. Other women, like, why would they choose you when they can go out with a guy that already has a job, he's got a car, he's not living with his parents, right? Like, why would they choose you over that? Like, you're competing with that person, so why on earth would you be chosen? The rise of single lonely men, dating apps, and a drastically changing relationship landscape. Dating opportunity for heterosexual men are diminishing as healthy relationship standards increase. Men represent approximately 62% of the dating app users, lowering their chances for matches. Yeah, as I mentioned, it's the dating apps. I wonder what the problem could be. Wasn't there an article recently discussing this? The problem is men are now expected to meet basic standards of human decency, to have a chance at relationship, and it seems that 30% would rather throw hits and make threats. I wonder if this lady has a son. Like, I genuinely wonder if she thinks that this is the case, right? Like, men do not have a basic standard of decency. But, like, that's so interesting. Like, I would understand if there was a couple of them, right? Like, if there was, like, 10,000, 20,000 men that didn't have, like, the basic... But, like, we're talking about, according to this, a third of the entire male population on planet fucking Earth. Like, I think that the problem isn't like that. And you're saying that women are only filled with positivity and positive emotions. Like, here's the thing, right? While men are complaining about this, right? So men are complaining about the fact that they can't have sex. There are also many women who are complaining with the fact that they can't have a relationship. Or they can't get married, right? Now, I'm pretty sure it's a high number. Because the thing is, well, it is easy for a woman to find a guy to have sex with. I mean, it's too easy, one would say. It is difficult to have a relationship. So they can end up with a guy that calls them over. You know, they have sex, but the guy doesn't want to introduce her to his friends. Doesn't want to go out with her. Doesn't want to spend a romantic evening. Right? Like, he just is interested in inviting her to the bedroom. And is then wondering, it's like, oh, look at the time. How can we part ways a lot faster, right? So I can understand why women are affected by that and why they're upset. But imagine how it would be to say, well, if women want more relationship, they should stop being entitled and they should blah, 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 blah. Show a basic human decency. Like, you're not fixing the problem. You're saying the correct social justice points, I suppose, right? Like, you're getting the virtue claps on Twitter, but at the end of the day, like, there is a problem. Like, I do understand why women would have a problem with that. Women, being in the top 5% is basic standards of human decency. I mean, look, I'm really curious if this lady would date a guy that's under 5 feet tall, is living with his parents, doesn't earn enough money, but is a very decent fellow. Like, he is the avatar of decency. If decency manifest existed on planet Earth, it would be that guy. I'm really curious if she would be like, you know what? God damn it, I'm going to date him. Cause like, he has the basic human decency. I really hate this expression, like, basic human... Like, what the fuck does it even mean? What is basic human decency? And what is, like, advanced human decency? Like, because apparently they come in levels, right? So I'm really curious, like, what is basic human decency? What is advanced human decency? And then what is expert level human decency? Like, advanced, PhD level human decency. What do you think about moral condemnation? Well, moral condemnation towards what? I mean, it depends. Like, some moral condemnations work, others don't. Yeah, it's not even like it used to be. Christians would say, like, try to be a virtuous person, right? Like, it wouldn't be like basic virtue decency, like try to be a virtuous person, try not to be a sinner, right? But like, the left is like basic human decency. What the fuck is that? It means my shopping list of expectations. I don't know. It's such a vague concept. Like, I'm willing to bet that if you take a person and you get them to define what is basic human decency, they will not be able to give an accurate definition of it. I mean, like, Christians would be like having manners, and you'd be like, well, what does it mean? What does it mean to have manners? And they would give you like the code of good manners. It's like, here, read this book. It was simple, right? Like what does it mean to have good manners? Here, read this book. But like basic human, what does it mean? Give me an example of a person that has basic human decency. Yeah, what about basic human indecency? Like, isn't indecency also part of the human experience? And are you allowed to be a little bit indecent? Because every person is composed of shades of gray. Like, every person has good qualities and bad qualities. So, like, are you allowed to have some indecency? Are you allowed to get angry at the football match and punch the wall? Or scream at the television? Advanced decency is paid DLC. That, you know what? I'm stealing that. I'm going to use that. Advanced decency is paid DLC. Hentai protagonists have basic human decency. You know what? Do you think Christian Grey had basic human decency? Or Han Solo from Star Wars? Or James Bond? I think like James Bond didn't have basic human decency. And yet for some reason, these people without basic human decency are being idolized by many women. Like, for example, my cousin, when she was younger, she really liked Harrison Ford and all the roles that she played. Like, he really liked Indiana Jones, he really liked Han Solo. You know, but apparently he doesn't have basic human decency. He's oozing with toxic masculinity. James Bond had advanced human decency. No, James Bond had advanced human indecency. He was rude. He was impolite. Joe Biden is the most decent of all. Is it the sniffing? Is it when you sniff that you have basic human decency? When you, huh? Like, I wonder if the pretty girl farts. Like, the man goes behind her and starts sniffing, and she goes like, will he sniff again? I think maybe that's like a nightmare, you know, a horrible experience. Like, he goes towards a beautiful girl, starts sniffing her hair, she farts, and then he wakes up. Oh my god, what a terrible nightmare. Why do so many buzzwords exist? Why can't women just be direct? Buzzwords exist mostly in American culture. In my language, they're very rare. And I think it's mostly because the school system encourages people to think for themselves. And due to high levels of socialism, most people are aware of propaganda and they're a little bit iffing away from it. Like, I'm trying to think about buzzwords in Romania. I think like the word bullying is actually gathering a lot of attention. So bullying didn't exist as a concept in Romanian language up until the Iron Curtain fell. Like, bullying would be, I got beaten up at school, right? But that was pretty much what bullying is. Like, it wasn't psychological. No, like getting beaten up, right? So the kid stole my lunch money. Like, that kid, you know, he stole my lunch money. That's how Romanians would express themselves. Now, bullying is a very ambiguous concept because, like, what is it? You know, like, spreading rumors about someone can be bullying. Being mean to someone, like, not wanting to play with a kid is bullying. So, like, if, for example, you want to express your freedom of association and you just don't like that particular kid for various reasons, like maybe he's not a good player, maybe he doesn't take the game seriously, maybe he's rude to your girlfriend, whatever, and you're like, I don't want to play with him, right? And you're very influential in the courtyard and you convince other kids, like, we're not going to play with him, we're not going to play with Johnny. That's bullying. And I'm thinking, like, you know, I can see why Johnny wouldn't appreciate that, but at the same time, it's not the same as getting beaten up. Like, you should, I think there are different aspects of bullying that should be tackled differently. So, for example, getting beaten up should be tackled differently than a kid getting ostracized on the playground. Right? Like, getting ostracized on the playground might be more complex. Because it might mean that, okay, well, maybe the other kids are to blame, like the other kids are just being mean. But it might be also that Johnny is also responsible. Like, look, if all the other kids don't want to play with you, like you need to have a little bit of an introspection, Johnny. You need to figure out why is that. You know, like it's understandable, like when one kid is mean, but when all the other kids are like that, like what exactly, right? So you need to have some introspection. Maybe all the other kids are genuinely being mean, and maybe yeah, like they should be more compassionate and understanding, or maybe Johnny, I don't know, said something nasty to Susan. And Susan viewed that as very mean, and she told the other girls, and the other girls agreed with Susie, so like now they're ostracizing Johnny. Hotep says, I bet V got beaten up plenty of times. Of course! That was part of the Eastern European school of life. That was part of the lived experience here in Eastern Europe. Getting beaten up at school, especially if you read comic books or if you talked about video games, yeah, you'd get beaten up. I don't think that it builds character to get beaten up. I think that's bullshit. Alright, so no father is happy if they hear that their kid got beaten up at school. I don't think that should happen, right? So there is a difference, and it also depends about what type of beating up, right? Like there's one type where kids are having a struggle, they're playing some contact sports, or one of the kid accidentally injures someone, but it's not a bad injury, there is certain aspects of kids playing that has a physical nature, and up to a point it is acceptable. But like if we're talking about like getting the kid hospitalized, okay, well that's a problem. That's when the parents should step in. In fact, that could even be grounds for a lawsuit. But like my point is, like if a kid comes home and they were wrestling with the neighbor's kid, as long as it's consensual and they're both fine and they both, like they're not upset at each other, like why would you put an end to that? Because I understand there are the helicopter parents, like, oh my god, but what if it would injure himself? What if, oh my god, the boys were playing with sticks. What if they poke their eyes out? It's like, but what if they don't? I played with sticks when I was a kid. Look how I grew up. Look how I ended up being. I ended up becoming a pillar of the fucking community. Learn how to defend yourself. Some people aren't tall, bro. Yeah, learn how to defend yourself in fucking high school. In high school, you're literally playing the lottery. Like, some kids, they don't grow up really fast. They don't hit puberty early. So they're like, within high school, within the same class, you may have a kid that's twice as tall as all the other. Like, you're telling me learn to defend yourself against the kid that's twice as tall as you. This is why I don't like physical education in high school. Like playing, dodgeball and other things. It's like, you want me to die? Like, have you seen how fast the other kids have grown? Like, look at the other kid. It's like twice as high. I need to like just look like this in order to see him. And you want me to be on the same football field with that guy, and he wants to kick the ball as hard as possible towards myself, right? Get the fuck out. Horrible. That kid is OP. He needs to be nerfed. Or at least buff the other kids. Mother Nature, what have you done? It's not about like life isn't fair. That's a hack, man. Like that kid is hacking. It's like, it's one thing when you play a video game with other kids and like one is more skilled than you, but like no, that kid is fucking hacking. Like you need to look like this in order to see him. That's a fucking hack. It's not even min-maxing. That's literally him breaking the game. He was fidgeting the dice when we weren't looking. That was you, the tall one. Yeah, I see. I'm 42, going on 40. Yeah, no, like, there's like, I think it was like in 6th to 5th grade when you notice the power difference. Like, there's nothing you can do at that point. The game is too RNG heavy, exactly. Like, the game becomes too RNG heavy around 5th to 6th grade. Like, they grow up so fast, it's like, whoa, holy shit, when did that happen? It is hacks, I swear. Shut the fuck up. You're one of those kids. Yeah, get good scrap. I fought my bro a lot as a kid. We get along very well. Yeah, I mean, There's a reason why like kids can have a fight and then they can make up, you know, and they're still best friends. You got bullied by Jim on a live stream. Look, it happens to the best of us. Shut up. A kid who was like 5 foot tall could toss me around in high school. I had the taller genetics, but definitely won out on the strength. There were like kids that were built like dwarves, you know, like the shield carrier. If he was saying do not pass, you would not pass, even if you are taller than them. I do remember, yeah, like there was this kid, very very small but bulky, and he was capable of impressive feats of strength. Funny story, I was the tall guy in middle school, but later around university years, I've met one of my middle school friends who was way shorter than me back then, and now he's over 2 meters tall. You know, the good advantage is, like, people that are very tall, they get health issues, so, like, you shouldn't be sad that you're not that tall, is what I'm trying to say. I guess, like, if you want to be tall, right, if you reincarnate into an isekai, and you start your life over again, and you want to be tall, you should play basketball when you're a kid. Like almost everyone that played basketball when they were kids, they ended up being tall. But you need to play it professional. Like you need to play it at least 3 to 4 days a week. And apparently it actually works. In another world but tall. Yeah, I would call that a really good title for an isekai. In another world but tall. Holy shit. You could actually make a really good comedy of an anime. Just the title alone. Adult bullying is pretty much gossip. Adult bullying is offense necromancy. Going on someone's Twitter, finding out what they said offensive, and then telling it to the HR lady. That is adult. By the way, I wanna show you something, and it's probably something that I'm going to include on my secondary channel, my lack of entertainment. But this is legit, right? Like, this is actually true, and it has happened. So, this is from Batman Arkham City. He let himself get unmasked, injected with a little dose of fear toxin, in order to stop the villain and save the city, right? So this is the sacrifice that Batman made. This is Iron Man. He died from gamma radiation for using space stones to stop the villain. And this is the end of She-Hulk. She spoke to the manager to make him change her story so she could win. Like, she actually breaks the fourth wall. She talks with the robot in charge of the entire movie directing, and she asks the robot to change the story so that she could win. I mean, that's a power. Yeah, she snitched to the HR. That is definitely a superpower which she has. In Canadian grade school, the bullies gave you a nose dip. They hold you by your arms and legs and dip your nose in a pool of ice water. What? Is that a thing? They were just trolling the audience. Yes. My god. Like, many times have I tried to watch modern movies, you know, and I was like, okay, look, I understand that the writers are more activists than writing, that these characters, you know, like She-Hulk or Superman, they're like the VTubers of progressive writers. Like, the talking points of progressive get passed on to the characters. Like, I get that, and I'm like, you know what? Let's put up with it. I don't care. I just want an entertaining movie. I just want to watch something. And then you watch it, and it's like the most boring shit that you have ever been exposed to. It is, like, unbelievably boring. And with this, I kind of understand why Amuraf's stream has, like, 60,000 people watching. Because at least she's not lecturing you about politics. At least it's just boring. Twitter locked employee stock accounts in anticipation of Musk's purchase. Yes, I'm aware. It's normal, by the way. Apparently, Elon Musk, and this is going to be the video on my main channel, he wants to buy Twitter, and he wants to work with Trump from Truth Social and with Kanye West from Parler, and he wants to unify the apps. I don't know what that would look like. I don't know what that would mean. I guess like unifying the user base. So like you would have like he wants to create XD Everything app or some shit like that. So like all the people from Parler and all the people from Truth Social would be on one app. That would be interesting. I like how would that transition even work? But anyway, right. What, Amaranth is doing an outdoor stream? Well, if that's the case, I have to go watch. So thank you, Akumonoi, for informing me. I'm going to go to Amaranth. Hopefully, I will get some better tips on how to improve my stream. Because I'm really curious how I can improve the quality of my entertainment. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for the super chats and take care.